Do you believe that one new thought pattern can totally transform or change or shift your life? Well, back in 2002, I had a whole new thought pattern that completely transformed my life. But just to go back a step, I was born of immigrant parents who had a poverty mentality. You know, they were war-torn immigrants. They had experienced a war, a depression, and so that built their neurology. That built how they thought. And of course, as my parents, they didn't tell me to think like that. I just watched, observed, and learned as I was growing up. And that was the only world I knew. So that was how I was raised. As a result of that, I struggled financially for most of my life until I was educated by an American gentleman who completely changed how I thought. It caused me to dive very, very deep into thinking and neuroscience and psychology and starting to understand how we actually shift our thinking. And one day I was at a point in my career where I was about to lose my job. I was down to my last $27 and about to be homeless. And I just knew something had to change. Now, that new level of thinking, those new thoughts, I was working in the Rialto. It's a very tall building in Melbourne, Australia. And I was standing in my office on the 46th floor, looking out over the city of Melbourne. And I just thought to myself, what would I feel like if I was a multimillionaire or a billionaire? I mean, truly, what would I feel like? What would I think like? What sort of thought patterns would I have right now? How would I feel inside? What would be the sounds of in my office? What would be the smells? What would my life truly be like? The strangest thing happened. Minutes after having that thought, possibly even seconds, I can't recall, it happened very quickly. My phone rang and I picked up that phone, and in that phone call, I made half a year's income just in one phone call. It made me realize that my life had just turned around financially just from one phone call. I got up against the glass. I started thinking those same thoughts again, and the phone rang again. The strange thing was I made another half a year's income. The difference between the first and the second was just $1,000. And that got me thinking. It made me start to think that perhaps our thoughts really do create things. That this crazy American that was training me all those years ago actually was right. That we create our reality. What happened then is I thought to take the cap off, take the level off. I thought, what if I'm actually, even though these have been great amounts and now I've earned a whole year's income from 2 phone calls, I thought, what if I do this again, but what if I take the cap off? Strangest thing happened. The phone rang again. This time I made a whole year's income, exactly double the amount of the first and second number. And as a result of that, I knew that thinking creates things. Now, a good friend of mine, Tony Frederick, I started teaching him. He was in sales. So I started teaching him what I was doing, and he started getting results. And then he said to me, you need to write this in a book. You need to put all the steps, all the ways in which you were thinking, the sorts of things that led to it, everything to show and help other people to do exactly the same thing. In 2004, I wrote that book. That book was titled Life Beyond Limits, a universal guide to prosperity. Now, what happened, of course, in a few more years after that, we sold out of the first edition and we created a new edition for the UK market, and we called it The Secrets of Creating a Life Beyond Limits. Of course, that's what my publishers thought was going to be a good repositioning. And then me being me, I couldn't stop adding to the book. So I added to the book and we rebadged it again to be called A Richer Way to Think. And I've said that this is not a book. This is a way of living. And this certainly changed my life. It has now changed the lives of many, many, many people. One particular gentleman who I coached with these concepts, a guy by the name of Vladimir, he said that one session completely doubled his income. Now, that might be hard to believe for you, and that's okay. I get it. Our beliefs often are the blocks to opportunity. Our beliefs are like on and off buttons. They simply say we can or we can't achieve something. The truth is, in order to create a whole new level of reality, you can't just think like a millionaire or a billionaire and it all just happens. You really need to interrogate your beliefs, start to readjust your values, begin to get rid of those neural patterns that are getting in your way, all those thoughts of I'm not good enough, can I do this, can I achieve this, all those questions that when we even put them in start to get into our emotions and kind of murky up this space of our hearts. So what I did in this book is I put the science, the structures, the strategies, the thoughts, the mindset of how you can totally transform your world. And A Richer Way to Think is not just about prosperity. It's about attracting a soulmate. It's about creating the lifestyle that you would love. It's not just about creating more money. It's creating more joy inside, feeling good about who you are, and being able to get out there in the world and make that difference that you really want to make. Now, since writing this book, a lot of time has passed. Now I teach coaches how to coach using my thinking, my systems. Now I create training programs to teach people how to actually shift their lives. This book not only changed my life, but it has changed the lives of many. It's a very small investment, but it's got huge opportunity. I really encourage you to get this book and change your life, and perhaps even then change other people's lives. My name is Rick Schnabel. My company is A Life Beyond Limits, and my book is A Richer Way to Think. It's a lifestyle. Bye for now.